Hello and a massive welcome to everyone joining me today. And I'm thrilled that you've prioritized this time for our deep dive webinar, How Foreigners Can Safely Buy Property in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. From the mountains of the Sierra Madre, which are right behind me here, to the beautiful waters of Banderas Bay, Puerto Vallarta offers a lifestyle that's truly unmatched. And I'm honored to be your guide on your journey to making this your home or your home away from your home. If you've spent any time researching property here in Puerto Vallarta, you know that the dream is intoxicating. Like you envision yourself on a terrace with a margarita in your hand and watching a phenomenal sunset. But then the questions start. Is it actually possible to own property as a foreigner? What legal hurdles will I face? And what about safety and security? Now, these are not only valid questions, they are necessary questions. Trying to navigate a foreign legal system, even one as welcoming as Mexico's, can be confusing and misinformation is rampant. So I'm here today to cut through the noise and provide you with a clear, accurate, and actionable information backed by my years of experience right here in Puerto Vallarta. So over the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to meticulously walk you through every step of the process of purchasing a property here in Puerto Vallarta, making sure that you understand that it's not only feasible to purchase property in Mexico, but secure, provided you follow the right path. I'll demystify the Fideicomiso, explore the critical role of the Notario Publico, and outline a foolproof 6-step buyer path that guarantees a safe and a legal transaction. This isn't just theory. This is the proven method I use with every single international client. So please engage with me. Use the chat for quick questions. And if time doesn't allow me to answer your question on the webinar here itself, you can rest assured that I will email you with the answers. And also keep an eye out for our polls. Most importantly, stay until the very end. The last slide holds the key to moving your dream from theory to reality. Let me briefly tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Stan Freeman, and I'm an established real estate agent with Coldwell Banker La Costa here in Puerto Vallarta. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of the internationally acclaimed brokerage of Coldwell Banker, and you're most likely to have an office of Coldwell Banker in your hometown. My professional life is dedicated to making the dream of Puerto Vallarta ownership a safe reality for international buyers. When you look for assurance in this market, you look for longevity and reputation, and Coldwell Banker La Costa has been a pillar of integrity and success in Puerto Vallarta for many, many years. I've been fortunate enough to call this beautiful place my home for the past 5 years, and I've specialized in the intricacies of foreign property purchase throughout my career here. I don't just sell property, I guide transitions. I understand the concerns that arise when buying internationally, the unfamiliar legal terms, the currency conversions, and the due diligence checks that are needed. My experience is your built-in safety net. Now, I've helped hundreds of clients, from first-time investors to retirees, successfully navigate the entire process. And my commitment is simple: absolute transparency and ethical practice, ensuring your closing is as stress-free as it is secure. You're in safe hands. So let's pause and remember why we're doing this. Now, why Puerto Vallarta? It's often referred to as the San Miguel de Allende by the sea, blending rich colonial architecture with a stunning ocean setting. We have the cobblestone streets of the Zona Romantica, the bustling Malecon, and a culinary reputation that rivals any major city in the world. We're consistently rated as a top food destination. Beyond the aesthetics, Puerto Vallarta is highly practical. It has a modern international airport with direct flights across North America and beyond. We have top-tier medical facilities. We have world-class golf, and for those of you who like to fish, we got some deep-sea fishing as well. Now, crucially, Puerto Vallarta offers a high quality of life at a cost that is often significantly lower than comparable coastal areas in the US or Canada. This community is incredibly vibrant, diverse, and welcoming, offering easy integration for expats while maintaining its genuine Mexican charm. It is truly the perfect convergence of investment value and lifestyle quality. So let's get a feel for the audience right now, and we'll do a quick poll. So the poll is, what is your primary goal of buying property in Puerto Vallarta? Is it for retirement, which would be like full-time living? You're seeking a permanent base. Is it a vacation home for seasonal use, maybe looking at a lock and leave escape? Or is it an investment rental with income focusing purely on return on investment and cash flow? I'm just exploring some options here. So let's wait while you take the poll for a couple of seconds, and then we'll continue on. Now let's talk about the fundamental legal question that determines everything. Can foreigners legally own property in Puerto Vallarta? Now, as I mentioned earlier, the answer is an emphatic yes. But we need to understand the historical context Mexico has sometimes called the restricted zone. The restricted zone is a safety measure established after the Mexican Revolution. Now, this zone covers all the land within 100 kilometers of any border and 50 kilometers of the coastline. Puerto Vallarta, being a coastal city, is firmly within that zone. So Mexican law states that only Mexican nationals can hold direct title within this restricted zone. However, recognizing the enormous economic value of foreign investment, the government created a legally protected vehicle that grants foreigners all the rights of ownership without granting a direct title. Now, this mechanism is internationally recognized, time-tested, and fully supported by the Mexican government. It ensures foreign capital flows into the market while respecting constitutional constraints. I'm talking about the Fideicomiso here, the cornerstone of secure foreign ownership. It's the gold standard, and any attempt to circumvent it is dangerous and it's unnecessary. When people ask me about safety, I always point out to this instrument. The biggest risk to any foreign buyer is not using the Fideicomiso. When you use the Fideicomiso, you are operating entirely within the boundaries of Mexican law, and your investment is as protected as that of a Mexican citizen. So what exactly is a Fideicomiso? Let's dissect the Fideicomiso, or the Mexican bank trust, in greater detail. Now, as a trust, it has three distinct roles. The fiduciario, or the trustee. Now, this is a federally licensed major Mexican bank like Scotiabank, Bancomer, or others. The bank holds the legal title to the property on your behalf, and they are the legal owner in name only. The Fideicomisario is the beneficiary. Now, that's you, the foreign buyer. You receive the exclusive right to use, rent, mortgage, modify, sell, and benefit from the property. Crucially, the bank cannot act without your explicit instruction. They are bound by the terms of the trust agreement. Your rights are superior to the bank's legal title. Think of it this way. Your title is held in a bulletproof vault, the bank, and only you have the key, your beneficiary rights. Now, this trust or Fideicomiso is granted for a term of 50 years. And I often get asked, well, what happens after 50 years? The answer is simple. It is indefinitely renewable for another 50 years and another in perpetuity. This means you have perpetual control and ownership rights over the property. The Fideicomiso offers compelling advantages, making it not just a requirement, but a genuine benefit. Unquestionable legal protection because it's a formal registered public document filed with the National Registry of Foreign Investments. It's backed by the full faith and credit of the Mexican banking system and the government. Okay, another benefit is simplified estate planning. Now, this is perhaps the biggest hidden benefit. You name substitute beneficiaries, your heirs, directly within the trust document. When you pass away, the property bypasses the entire Mexican probate process, and the property rights are transferred automatically to your named beneficiaries. And of course, this saves vast amounts of time, legal fees, and administrative burden for your loved ones during an already difficult time. Another feature is easy transferability. When you sell, you simply transfer your beneficiary rights to the new foreign buyer, making the resale process straightforward and quick. Tax efficiency is another benefit. It doesn't create any adverse tax implications in Mexico beyond the standard property taxes and potential capital gains tax upon sale. Okay, I've often been asked, do you need residency in order to purchase a property here in Puerto Vallarta or in Mexico? This is where people often confuse immigration law with property law. Do you need Mexican residency, temporary or permanent, to purchase property? The answer is a resounding no, you do not. The Fideicomiso was specifically designed to allow foreign non-residents to purchase in the restricted zone. You can complete the entire transaction on a tourist visa. The required documentation for the trust, passport, birth certificate, etc., is all that's needed. Now, while residency isn't a requirement for purchase, I strongly encourage you to explore it, especially if you plan to spend more than 6 months a year here. Residency makes banking easier, simplifies vehicle importation, and removes the need to constantly monitor your tourist visa status. But let's be perfectly clear, your property security is entirely independent of your immigration status. You can buy today as a tourist and feel 100% secure in your investment. Let's do a quick check-in. The Fideicomiso is the hardest concept to grasp. So I'm going to do a poll here on your familiarity with the process based on what I've already told you. So the question is, after our detailed explanation, do you feel clear on the role of the Fideicomiso? Yes, I understand it's a secure trust, mostly, but I still have some questions. No, it still feels confusing. So let's see what the poll comes up with. All right, it looks like most of you have grasped the idea of it. So that means I'm doing my job well here. For those who choose the second option, please book that one-on-one call at the end and we can clarify any remaining points privately. Let's see if we can do an overview of the entire process here. The legal foundation secure, let's now map out the practical steps. The process is systematic, professional, and familiar to anyone who has purchased real estate in a major North American market. We will follow this structured 6-step path here. So number 1 is work with a licensed agent. 2, find the property and valuation of the property. Make an offer and do the contract. Escrow and due diligence. The Notario publico process. And the closing day and the final transfer. So let's break down each step in detail, starting with the most crucial decision that you'll make. Number 1 is work with a licensed professional real estate agent. This is your primary defense mechanism in Mexico. Regulation of real estate is still developing, meaning professional standards are not federally mandated here. So this is why aligning yourself with a reputable, globally recognized firm like Coldwell Banker Lacoste is non-negotiable. I and my fellow Coldwell Banker agents adhere to the highest international ethical standards. And we are members of AMPI, which is the Mexican Association of Real Estate Professionals. So what is AMPI, you might ask? AMPI is the Mexican Association of Real Estate Professionals, basically Mexico's version of NAR, and it's actually affiliated with NAR, the National Association of Realtors in the US. Now, why does this matter? Because Mexico has no national real estate licensing, meaning anyone can call themselves an agent, and AMPI fills that gap. AMPI members follow a strict code of ethics, get real training, use professional standards, and stay up to date on Mexico's property laws. In other words, they're accountable, which is really important. So if you want a safe, ethical, professional real estate experience in Mexico, work with an AMPI agent. I'm an AMPI real estate professional affiliate, and Coldwell Banker Lacoste is an AMPI associate broker. As an experienced Coldwell Banker agent, I provide value far beyond showing homes. So I'm your market fiduciary. I understand micro neighborhood dynamics, rental potential, and accurate valuation, preventing you from overpaying. I'm your legal quarterback. I manage the entire transaction, ensuring the right documents go to the right legal counsel, which is the Notario, at the right time, minimizing delays and risks. I'm your negotiation expert. I manage all cultural and linguistic differences in negotiation, ensuring your interests are protected in the formal purchase sales agreement. So always do your homework. Always ask any prospective agent about their specific experiences with Fideicomiso transactions and their professional affiliations. Find the property and conduct initial valuations. This involves comprehensive property searches using our Flex MLS, which is a shared reliable database. Now, once we've identified the perfect property candidates, I conduct extensive market research. And this isn't just about what feels right, it's about what the data says. I prepare a detailed, comprehensive market analysis. That's called a CMA. And it's a critical tool because this analysis reviews recent sales of comparable properties, current listings, and market trends to establish a fair and supportable market price. Step 3, you make an offer and a formal contract. So make an offer and formalize the contract based on this CMA that I get for you. We craft a formal offer to purchase, outlining the price, the payment terms, including the required 10% of the purchase price as a down payment. We look at contingencies like inspection and the closing date. The deposit is always held in a secure escrow account by a Coldwell Banker approved escrow company in the United States, so no funds enter Mexico until the closing. Once the seller accepts, the terms are codified in the legally binding purchase sale agreement, which is called a contrato de compraventa. Now, this is a complex bilingual document that details every element of the transaction, from the legal description of the land to the penalties for default by either party. Now, I review this meticulously with you, ensuring you understand your rights and your obligations completely before you sign. It's at this moment that the clock starts ticking towards closing and the due diligence phase begins in earnest. So let's talk about the next step in the process, escrow and due diligence. Now, escrow and full due diligence, this is a 30 to 60-day period where security is solidified. As I mentioned, your 10% deposit is transferred to a neutral third-party escrow service, usually a major international title or escrow firm. And we have our own that we use in Coldwell Banker. This ensures your money is held safely outside of Mexico's banking system, and it's released only when the Notario confirms all legal requirements are met at the closing. This step also includes initial due diligence related to the property itself. So we look at its history, understand its position within a regimen de condominio, which is the condo regime, if that's applicable, and we review the HOA fees and the rules. We also look at the existing Fideicomisos, if there is one, to understand its structure and how easy the transfer will be. Now, finding the property is exhilarating. Ensuring it's priced correctly and legally sound is my professional responsibility. The Notario's office initiates the Certificado de Gravamen, now the certificate of no encumbrances, and that's to verify the property title is 100% clean and free of liens, mortgages, or any tax debt. So let's talk about property inspections. If included as a contingency, professional third-party home inspections are conducted to assess the structural and operational integrity of the property. Simultaneously, the Notario applies the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the permit required to establish or transfer the Fideicomiso into your name and coordinate with your chosen bank. So let's drill down on the Certificado de Gravamen. Now, this is your core assurance. It confirms three crucial things. First, that the seller is indeed the person or entity registered as the legal owner. Second, that the property boundaries and the description match what is registered. And third, that there are absolutely no outstanding debts secured against the property, such as previous mortgages or large tax arrears. Without a completely clean certificate, the Notario will not and cannot proceed to the closing. We also investigate the status of utilities and HOA fees. We request a letter from the condominium administration or the HOA confirming that there are no past due fees, which is a common source of post-closing disputes, if not cleared beforehand. So this thorough review ensures that you inherit only the property, not the seller's liability. So this phase is pretty intense and it requires coordination between your agent, the escrow company, the Notario, and the bank. I serve as the constant communicator, providing you with regular updates and ensuring that all conditions of the purchase sale agreement are met before we proceed. For the majority of escrows, I usually recommend that we use the services of a closing coordinator. Now, these are a firm of lawyers and assistants that coordinate between you and the Notario and handle all legal aspects of the transaction, and whose duty is to you as their client to make sure that you're protected in every way. The security of your investment rests on the thoroughness of this due diligence period. So that's why it's really important. Now, the next step is the Notario Publico. As we discussed, the Notario is central to the Mexican legal system, acting as an impartial government official. They're appointed to give the transaction the stamp of state authority. Their roles are deeply important. Among them are tax fiduciary. They calculate and collect all closing costs, including the buyer's acquisition tax, or the transfer tax as we call it, and ensure that they're paid to the government before the closing. They're a legal validator. They confirm the identity and legal capacity of all parties and verify that all pre-closing requirements, the Fideicomiso permit, the no lien certificate, and tax clearance are all satisfied. They act as a title recorder, so they draft the final deed, which is called the Escritura, which formalizes the property transfer and ensures it is properly recorded in the public registry of property. Now, I work closely with the closing coordinator firm and the Notario's office for the entire duration of the transaction for foreigners. This relationship is vital as the Notario is responsible for ensuring the Fideicomiso documents are perfectly executed, safeguarding your beneficiary rights for the next 50 years. This appointment is the final essential legal checkpoint. So then we move on to closing day. That's the exciting part. Now, closing day is the culmination of all the planning and the due diligence. The closing typically occurs at the Notario's office. The key moment is the signing of the escritura, or the deed, as we call it. The closing coordinator firm and the Notario or their legal representatives reads and explains the deed. You, the seller, and a representative from the Fideicomiso bank, the trustee, sign the document. Final funds transfer. Now, the Notario confirms the transfer of the final funds from the escrow account to the seller, and the final checks for taxes and fees are processed. And now we get to the exciting part, the keys and registration. So upon signing, the keys are transferred. The Notario ensures that the deed is officially recorded. And once it's recorded in the public registry, the transfer is complete. Yay! And congratulations, you hold a full legal title to your property in Puerto Vallarta. So let's take one quick final poll to see what is top of mind as we move forward and wrap this up. I want to know about your current state of readiness. How close are you to being ready to make a purchase decision of a property here in Puerto Vallarta? I plan to buy in 6 months. I plan to buy in 1 year. I plan to buy in 1 to 2 years. I'm still 1 to 2 years away and I'm researching. Or I'm just getting started with my research. Let me wait a couple of seconds for the responses. All right, well, thank you for doing that. So here's some key financials and tips for you. Let's quickly cover the practical realities of currency and payment. Property prices are based on the Mexican peso, though they are usually translated to US dollars for ease of viewing. And the crucial point is that the legal value recorded by the Notario for tax purposes is always in Mexican pesos. For securing the purchase, the most secure method is via international wire transfer to the neutral third-party escrow account, and this should happen well in advance of closing. You'll never ever wire money directly to the seller or any individual. So here's some currency exchange strategy for you. Do not use your high street bank for large international transfers. Use a dedicated foreign exchange, like a Forex broker. They can secure interbank exchange rates that are significantly better than what your bank offers. On a $500,000 purchase, for example, a few cents difference per dollar can easily save you thousands of dollars. This single piece of advice can make a huge difference to your overall budget. So some more key tips for foreign buyers. Here are 4 tips for foreign buyers to ensure you remain fully protected. Now, make sure you have a closing cost budget. Be prepared for the closing costs. These are the taxes and fees that are paid to the government and the notaria and the closing coordinator, and they typically range between 4% and 6% of the purchase price. The exact percentage depends on the legal value of the property and the states of Jalisco and the state of Nayarit tax table. And these closing costs are paid by the buyer in Mexico. So let me provide a little more color on these closing costs, as they're often misunderstood. That 4% to 6% figure includes several distinct components. The largest component is the acquisition tax, which is approximately 2% of the registered value of the property. Next are the notario's professional fees, typically 1 to 1.5%, 2% of the purchase price. Then you have the closing coordinator firm's fee and the various registration fee, appraisal fees, and critically, the setup and first year fee for the Fideicomiso, which is a one-time setup cost and an annual maintenance fee of about $500 per year. I can provide a detailed breakdown of these costs before you make your offer, calculated to the peso, so you have zero surprises on closing day. Transparency on these financial details is paramount. So let's talk about the reality of property taxes. Property taxes, known as predial in Puerto Vallarta, is remarkably low, often less than like $300 per year for a condo worth several $100,000. Now, this is a huge benefit of the Mexican system for sure. While the Notario and Fideicomiso offer strong legal security, you might consider purchasing title insurance from a reputable international provider. And this offers an extra layer of protection, especially related to issues that may predate the Fideicomiso establishment. I mention this only because it's something that is available, but it's not totally necessary. So prepare documents early. Gather your required documents, your passport, your birth certificate, your utility bill for your proof of address, and have them ready early, because a missing document can delay closing and potentially jeopardize the sale. Let's quickly recap the buying path, reinforcing the key professional partners you must rely on. Number one, myself as your Coldwell Banker agent for market expertise and transaction management. The Escrow firm, which is in the United States, for secure fund management. The closing coordinator firm for liaison between me, you, and the Notario, making sure all documents are provided and keeping your best interests at the center of the transaction. The Notario Publico for legal due diligence and deed registration. The Fideicomiso Bank for holding the perpetual title on your behalf. Now, the Mexican system is robust, but it is a system of relationships and trust between highly skilled professionals. By working with a well-established real estate professional like myself and brokerage of Coldwell Banker La Costa, you gain access to this entire network, which smooths the path and guarantees the safety of your investment. Please remember, the fear of buying internationally is almost always based on misinformation or people trying to skip the necessary legal steps. When you follow this proven path, your transaction is secure. So you now have an in-depth roadmap to buying your dream home or condo in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. But a generalized plan only gets you so far. What you need now is a personalized flight plan tailored exactly to your timeline, budget, and specific property desires. Whether it's a high return on income rental in Versailles or a quiet retirement villa in Conchas Chinas. So that's why my final and most important call to action is this. I'm offering you a free, completely confidential and no obligation one-on-one buyer strategy call with me. So on this call, we'll target the market, identify the specific neighborhoods and property types that meet your goals, lifestyle, return on investment, or both, so that I can send you listings from our MLS, which also serves the purpose of making you more acquainted with the Puerto Vallarta market. And we'll establish a timeline, map out the exact steps you need to take over the next 3 to 6 months or more or less or whatever to be ready for the closing. I'll address some complexities. I'll clarify any lingering questions about the Fideicomiso, residency, or Mexican inheritance law. The link to book your private consultation is being posted in the chat right now. So don't leave your dream to chance. Secure your personalized strategy call today. Spots are limited, so please book immediately. So thank you all so much for your time, your engagement, and your serious interest in Puerto Vallarta. I truly look forward to connecting with you one-on-one and helping you transition from webinar attendee to property owner in Puerto Vallarta. So have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon on the beautiful shores of the Banderas Bay. Adios.